Scott, thanks for coming here, man.
No trouble. Good
Appreciate
to be here.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So usually how we start the podcast, I ask, what's your name, how many kids you have, and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm Scott McKay. I have beautiful twins, 17 years old now. They're in grade 12, boy, girl, and I work for the NHL Alumni Association.
How'd you get into that?
Basically, I've been in hockey for like 30 years, and our buddy Glenn Healy took it over, and he asked me to come on board, so it was just a great fit.
When did you start?
I started about 9 or 10 years ago. So what's that now? It's 2025. So I guess 2016 and around there.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So now you're the senior players and projects
Yeah,
manager?
players and project manager, director of, it's a title. I mean, we do everything there, but it's all about helping players, ex-players.
Cool. So how does everybody get access to that kind of support?
If you played one game in the NHL, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we also do some work with the NHL trainers too. Being from that world, they don't get enough love, so it's kind of a joint. The trainers, the players, it's all kind of one group for us. We help all those guys out.
Awesome. Like, what are the kind of things you guys do? I know you guys do events and fundraising.
Yeah, we do events and fundraising. So we help guys transition after the game. It's hard for a lot of guys, and that's all you've known for all your life. It's very hard for them to go out and get a regular job, be a regular dad.
Yeah.
When you're treated a certain way, when everything's done for you, it's very hard for them to make that move from hockey to real life.
Yeah, I'm sure. So is it like, would you say once you're in, like you get that full support throughout your life?
Yeah. You know what? Again, the hockey world is a small family. Once you're in the world, it's just like anything else. If you're a good guy, you have a good reputation, and so on and so on, your character's good, it will take care of you.
Awesome. Good for you. Because I remember once you told me that, I was like, I see when you gave me that idea with the whole alumni hockey game.
Yeah.
Because I do know you have a foundation.
Yes,
do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So I still, I have bone cancer, which unfortunately never goes away.
Okay.
But it's in my bones, and the good part about it is it's contained. So, as long, knock on wood, as long as I don't break anything, or, I'm feeling good. So I wanted to start a foundation to help out. Like I was part of the Princess Margaret Road Hockey to Conquer Cancer, and they do great things. But I go to St. Mike's Hospital, it's a smaller cancer ward, and I want to start helping out the smaller places. So St. Mike's is going to be the first one we're going to help out, and then carry on from there.
It's myeloma.
That's right, multiple myeloma. Yeah.
Okay. And it's been, I think, over 10 years that you've had it.
Yeah. And I'm a good story. Everybody's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, don't say sorry. I'm not dead. I'm here to talk about it. I have no problem talking about it. A lot of people, call me and, ask me about maybe they got diagnosed. I hope not. Or, they have a family member or a friend, and I'm quite fine to talk about it. I still go for chemotherapy once every month.
Okay.
And it's just to keep my your blood levels clean, and knock on wood, I'm good.
Amazing. So happy to hear that.
Yeah.
How did that affect you being a dad? Because your girls were probably young at that age.
My girl and boy were young. I remember when we first told them, I didn't want to tell them right away because, all they knew was sad stories. Like they learned about Terry Fox.
Yep.
And cancer treatment has come a long way since then. It's called tailored. So you have 5 people that, have cancer, and back then they just used to pepper everybody with the same thing. But now they have tailored chemo. So what my treatment might be different from the next guy or lady beside me. So, it's a lot better success rate of not hopefully a cure, but it going away.
Got it.
Yeah.
So did it change? Did it change how you think and how you do?
Still, it's, I'm one of those people, I always look at, positives, and hey, it's a terrible thing when you hear that word.
Sure.
But, the good thing is it's in my bones, it's contained, and it changed the way I look at things. Like people tell me their problems now, I'm just like, dude, those aren't problems. These are minor things. It's all about, to me, being positive and, picking the good things out. If you sit there, and I tell people this, if you think you're screwed, you probably are. Don't think that. Think of the, it's in 80% of your bones. Okay, still the other 20 is healthy. So let's try and change that thinking.
Good for you.
Yeah,
It's good. It makes a difference.
it does.
Stress
It does.
sucks.
Like, oh, it's terrible, and it's easy to say, and hey, everybody gets stressed out now, and it's especially in the city these days with kids and everything's so expensive. But yeah, it's you got to find the positives in everything, and it's one of the things that I think have kept me going.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I saw on YouTube that in 2012 you had this like PR thing going on with Sundin and Domi, and they were trying.
Yeah, that video.
How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Oh, they're great. And I told you before, I was on the phone with Ty on the way here, and still, we don't see each other a lot. Like, he's busy. He lives in New York now, and he's busy with his son, Max, who's a beautiful boy. And, we don't see each other, but we talk a lot. And, Matt's, again, he's in Sweden. He's got young kids, Cujo, a bunch of guys. Like, it's just, they're teammates. They're great guys. And it's, we're dear friends. And, I hold those guys close. It's great.
That's amazing. Sundin is my all-time favorite.
Oh, he's the best.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's great. I think he's coming back here. He as you know, he released a book back in just before Christmas in November, and I saw him a little bit. He was very busy with the book tour, and it went well. But I think he's coming back here in March. Like, the guy, when he comes here, he's an anomaly. Like, yeah, he's still, to me, like the greatest captain of our era.
Totally. Toronto legend, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
That's so cool. And it was really even cool to see Drake take on Domi. One of his concerts, he brought out Domi, and he was like escorting him to the stage. So cool.
Another guy, like, that whole group from those days, my days there, Ty, Matt, Cujo, Gary Roberts. Yeah. It was a great group. Yeah. Like, to me, they have some character now, but it's a loss. Those players from those days, they had character. You watch those games. I still, I watch them now, and I'm like, holy cow, that was good. Like,
one of my favorite year, I don't know what year, but it was like we had McGillney, Neuendijk, Tucker, McCabe. It was like,
of course, and the list goes on and on. Caberlet.
Bay Street Bullies. That's what they called them.
Best.
It was just built different.
And Pat Quinn is our coach. Like, he was probably one of the most influential men besides my dad that I've ever met. Like, he was like a son or he's like a father to everybody that came across his path, and just a great man. Like, he'll forever have an impact on me.
So that's really interesting you say that. How much of a father role do coaches have on players?
You know what? Back then, they had a lot. I think today's athlete is a lot different now. Like Pat was, he's a player's guy. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Now, guys like Travis Green, even Craig Berube here. Okay. I think, this guy played, to me, it's all about like a guy like Pat Quinn. You look at some of the old videos and stuff, like, I'm not going to lie, like, any sports fan looks at old videos of, Cujo, Ty, these guys were tough. Yeah. So you need a coach who you want to go through the wall for. I played here. I know what it's like, pass that information on to the young guys. And, I think that's why the Leafs are doing a bit better this year.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We kind of swayed away to continue back to your foundation.
Yes.
So when's the last time you guys did some fundraising?
So we did one a few years back. It was just like a quiet thing. We had a band and everything. But I've got something coming up in September. It's going to be a street hockey tournament. Cool. And I want to, it's going to be in the city right behind the Hotel X. Okay. Spectacular settings. So that's our next thing, September 12th and 13th of this year.
And what's the logistics of that?
So basically, we have a draft night Friday night, September 12th, and then the 13th, I believe, is a Saturday. Just a street hockey tournament. So you don't have to be don't have to be a great hockey player. Basically, whoever raises the most funds will get to pick draft a player of their liking. Yep. We'll have a pool of NHL players, celebrities in general, like not just NHL players. We go and play hockey and just get together after and have some fun.
So are these celebrities there, or is it just like a fantasy?
No, the celebrities will be there. Yeah, they'll play on your team with you.
How does that logistics work? Like, to get people to be on board? Is it just your network and people who are just down to do it?
So through my network, through working with players and being on teams and stuff, I call some of these guys up, and it's great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And usually, like, what's your financial goal? Is it more of brand awareness, or is it
Brand awareness, and I want to, again, to help out the smaller cancer treatment centers,
Yep.
such as St. Mike's, St. Joe's, places like that. Like, that's my goal, because hey, the Princess Margaret, I've been there. They do great things. They have lots of funding.
Okay.
It's smaller places and nobody knows about. Like, I go to St. Mike's because it's smaller.
Okay.
And they know me there, and I just like that personal feel. You know, like, hey, nobody's there for a good thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to try and brighten up people's days who are there. You know, like it's not fun going there. You might as well try and make it at least a happy environment for the people there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's say we wanted to do a Daddy Day Club alumni hockey game. What
Yeah.
would, and like all proceeds going towards your foundation. What does that logistically look like in terms of getting people who are alumni who are still able to play? Like, how does that work?
Well, you know what? I hate to say it, but hopefully I don't look that old, but we're all getting older, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think, you know, hockey, lots of guys don't even play hockey anymore. Like, I play rarely. Guys like Ty don't play much. Matt still skates. You know, the key is to find guys that do still skate. And then it's just fun thing. Like, you know, I've always thought, like, you know, seeing like the McGillneys and Domies and Matts, all these guys, and Cujo still on the ice. Gary Roberts keeps in great shape. Like, it's still like there's still a fan base there who would come out and see these guys. Thomas Caberlet, Nick Antropov.
Wow.
You know, we can go on and on. Like, yeah, I think there's still an appetite for that time era of guys.
So do you think it's better to not do a game and try to facilitate something that's just different where more people can, I guess, participate, like the alumni players? Or,
you know what, and that's something I look at. Like, I'd love to do a hockey game, but again, lots of guys don't play anymore. Like, even just doing an event such as a hot stove. Like,
okay.
one of the things I did a few years ago for our charity with some buddies of mine was I just had a band, and some of the guys, Glenn Healy got up and played the pipes.
Cool.
And with the band, and I just had a few guys there. It was like a mix and mingle, you know?
So the only thing that worries me when you do the mix and mingle is it then just a private event? Because then when you start bringing in public, or even how do you logistically take care? Like, maybe they don't want to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, most of the people there, this was a smaller event, but, you know, you're talking about a hockey game and stuff. I think games are great. You just got to get enough guys to play.
All right.
And then, you know, have a little reception before. And the guys that don't play, like Doug Gilmore doesn't skate a lot anymore, Wendell Clark, maybe they can be coaches. They're still there. All the guys want to come on and help.
Such a sick idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I have so many ideas where I think it would be cool and benefit like your foundation.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool.
Yeah, like a guy like Glenn Healy doesn't play anymore. You know, make it, hey, I want you to come.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can come coach. You take off. The fans still want to see these guys, right? It's all about meeting them.
Or even like a skills competition, like a very
Yeah.
something fun.
Yeah.
I think, okay,
Yeah.
I'll think of the ideas.
Fun stuff. Like, guys, you know, playing hockey, like, some guys don't enjoy it, you know, and don't do it anymore. So if you do fun stuff with them, like, you know, you could have a hot stove or just have them there coaching. Yeah. Skills competition.
We'll think of some
many
ideas.
different ways to skin the cat.
Yeah. So tell me about your hockey career. I know you played in the OHL. Like, when did you start playing hockey?
So I started when I was like 5, and all the way. I grew up in Kincardine, Ontario. Played all the way up.
Okay.
Played a little college hockey, and then I really, you know, I played goal, but I didn't. I played defense in college and all the way up, and then I started playing goal. We had Eddie Belfour. He never practiced with the team.
Yeah.
You know, he had some back issues and stuff. So we tried to, you know, we'd always have one goalie in practice. So I was like, well, I'll do it. So that's kind of how I took up playing goal.
But how do you say, like, what position were you in to just say, I'll do it? Like,
so I was on the training staff, and, you know, we were always around, obviously, there with the team. And I guess it kind of snowballed. And with 1 year, I practiced with the team like 75 times. So we used to bring my bag on the road, and I think I was good enough. I got pretty good at it that actually, who knows, but I really feel like I could, you know, I was facing these guys in practice. Like, it was a lot of fun.
So you're like the Maple Leaf equipment, would you say like manager, assistant manager?
Assistant equipment manager.
So how did you even get that opportunity?
So back when I started Maple Leaf, I started at Maple Leaf Gardens. They had a store there called Leaf Sport.
Okay.
And I was in town here going to school for a firefighter. Went to business business school at Georgian College, and I knew through a couple co-op terms. That's why I encourage, my kids, all kids out there, to take co-op.
Okay.
And you know what? You might, do co-op at an engineering firm. You'd be like, oh, I hated that. So I did mine. I was lucky I worked at Ontario Hydro then. It's now called Bruce Power. And I was in their business department. And it was great. Like, it was awesome, but I couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life, like going to a desk job. So I came to the city and I wanted to be a firefighter. Then I just needed like a part-time job. I drove a Coke truck for a while, and then I got a job at there's a sports store in Maple Leaf Gardens. And then back then it was a really cool place because they maybe had 50 full-time employees and maybe 20, 25 part-time employees. So I was part of that. And then if you were a good guy, like, it was such a fun place. All these opportunities came up. Like a friend of mine, he got moved to the ticket office, and they're like, hey, he's a great guy. Let's plug him in here. And a spot came up with the team, and I guess I had some experience. So there I went.
How did you feel even just being able to go to like the games and be part of the team?
Gosh, it was an honor. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, especially back then, it was just so different. Today the athletes, they train year round. Back then, season ended, guys kind of didn't really work out till about a month before the season, and then they fired it up. Training camp was like 3 weeks long. Now I think it's 3 days long, 4 days maybe, right into games. But it was such a fun time then, like different era, like before camera phones. That's what I always tell people. Oh,
crazy.
Yeah.
Most memorable moment, like?
Oh, geez. I would say the closing of Maple Leaf Gardens.
Okay.
Was a memorable moment because we had such a good team then. Like, we had Cujo, we had Matt Sundin, we got Brian Berard. And added to the cast, Pat Quinn was the coach, Rick Lee, and it was such a good feeling. Like, we had young guys like Steve Sullivan, Jason Smith, Alan McCauley. Holy cow. Like, we just had that feeling of winner in the room.
It's really crazy that the Leafs couldn't get past. I remember it was, I think, Carolina.
Yeah.
We always had with the Hurricanes had an issue beating them. And I remember we made it to the second round and I think we lost. Matt Sundin scored with like 13 seconds left in the third period. Then we lost in overtime. We just had such a great team. It's unfortunate that we never
Yeah. And the one year, I think it was in 99, it was against Buffalo because they went on to play Dallas, and then remember the foot in the crease? I think that was 99, then Carolina next year. But those 2 years, conference finals, like that was, I really thought, and you still talk to guys these days, Ty, Mats, Curtis, those were probably the best teams. And the feeling, around Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't think Toronto's seen anything like it since.
Yeah.
We all don't remember 67 because we weren't born yet, but I don't know. I think that the teams, the feeling we had then, we're pretty close to it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. And I obviously I want the Leafs to thrive, but I just don't know if you can. I don't know if that feeling can ever. I don't know if they have it. I hope they do. But
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Which players had the biggest impact on your life?
Oh, I think Matt's, Ty Domi, Cujo's. If you ever get a chance, you should pick up his book. I don't know if you've ever read it. His upbringing and just it's an unbelievable read. Like, he's a good friend of mine, and I didn't know half this stuff. Like, it's unbelievable the stuff he went through, and how he kind of made the NHL, and chips were against him. Like, it's a great story.
Okay, I'll look into it. I know Sundin came out with his book. I didn't have a chance yet to get that.
I haven't even read it, but it's a great read. It tells you a lot about his story. But like, back when he came from Sweden, there's not a lot of European guys.
Yeah,
and he was a first pick.
Yep.
So nobody really knew of him, and for him to come here, and it's not really that long ago, but geez, for him to come here and have an impact, and he even Toronto, he's still like, he came here and had an impact, and I don't know, like they don't really make them like that anymore because he's so strong and so like back then it was guys were tough, and he grinded through that and played hurt a lot. He's He's a beast.
He's a classy guy.
Yeah. Oh, and first class. Like,
Yeah. I hate that he doesn't have social media. Cause like,
no, he's old school. And, he's just, he doesn't have social media. I wish he's very interesting, but he's also a very quiet and private guy.
Yeah.
So once you're inside that, it's the same with most of the big guys like that, the stars. Like once you're inside their loop, you know, trusting is very big with those guys.
Sure.
And, you know, you think about it, the people they met and stuff, and they keep a small group of friends. It's
makes sense.
Yeah. It's an honor to be inside that group.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
2012, you got a call to, I guess, come be a backup goalie for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Like, what was it like?
So back then I was, playing a little bit of goal then. I used to go down the game day skate. The Leafs had a game day skate. I think Brian Burke was the GM then. They used to play on the ice, and, you know, I still kept pretty sharp. Like I was still playing. Anyways, one day I was home with my kids, and making dinner. My ex, she's training to be a real estate agent. I think she was doing something with that. Anyways, the kids were young, so I was making dinner, and I got a text from somebody in the NHL. They said, "Hey, the Leafs goalie just went down in warm up. They're going to be calling you." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, like, good one." So then caller ID block came up on my phone. "Hey, what are you doing?" There's a guy from the Leafs. I said, "Not much. What are you up to?" He said, "We need you down here. Are you available?" So I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So I packed up my bag and I called my buddy. He's like, "No way." And I was scrambling. I got the neighbor to come take care of the kids, and, you know, it was a mad rush. And my buddy showed up. This guy's late for everything. He shows up, a neighborhood guy, and he's like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, you got to get me down there." So I have my gear, my sticks and everything. We're leaving. He goes, "What are you doing?" Like, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" He goes, "You can't wear that." I had jeans on and like a sweatshirt or whatever. And so I'm like, "You know what, you're right." So I went back up, put some nice clothes on, you know, dressed up, and he brought me down, and they met me in the parking lot, and it was a whirlwind. They signed me for the game. I got my goal gear checked and everything. And yeah, I didn't actually go on the bench because, but I was in the room ready to go should the goalie go down.
That's cool story, man.
Yeah,
That's
it was
wicked.
crazy. It was crazy.
How were the players with you? Like,
Awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, they're great. Mike Komisarek was there, and he was sitting with me. We're kind of hanging out, and, you know, the score, they were playing Philly. Wayne Simmons was on Philadelphia then. It was in his, you know, early years. He was a beast. Like, I want to say he had 4 or 5 points that night. And, you know, they scored, I think it was 4-2, and Mike Komisarek's like, "Hey, you better start stretching. 5-2. You want a power bar? 6-2.
Yeah.
Hey, you better get going here." So anyways, it ended up 7-2, and the game ended. I think Randy Carlisle was a coach, and he came in the room, and I got undressed and got out of there. I didn't want to be, you know.
I see.
He was pretty upset with the team. So, yeah, that was it. It was great.
How did your life change after that day, even just mentally?
Mentally, you know what? Again, through the cancer stuff, through this, and this sounds kind of hokey, but, you know, if you put your mind to something, you do anything you want. Cool. And I wish I knew that when I was younger. I wish, you know, I keep encouraging my kids. I encourage kids. I try to, and, you know what? If you focus on something, you visualize something, you can make it happen. You know, you believe in yourself. It's a large thing. And I think, you know, through my, you know, it's strange, but the cancer thing, it's, you know, I went from, it's always in the back of your mind, but you just focus on, you know, just living and you know, just being a good person every day, being happy, you know, and eventually those feelings kind of go away. That are in the back of your mind.
Makes sense. Do you have any like hopes that your kids will get into sports?
Oh, they already are. Like my daughter, she plays baseball actually, which is great in the Etobicoke area, and she loves it. She does CrossFit and jiu-jitsu too. She's active, very active. And my son, hockey, baseball. He's a talented kid. Yeah. And this last year, he said, "I want to play football." So it's like, football, like tackle football. He played for the Etobicoke Eagles. And anyways, so yeah, So as far as that goes, I love that they play everything. And I don't really care if a kid plays hockey or baseball, as long as they're doing something. Pick something. And, it's good for the parents. Like, being in that team environment it's fun for the kids, going to tournaments and, getting ready for games and, working out, being with your friends. Like, it's so fun. Like, my son plays high school hockey and he loves it. It's nice to see. It's fun.
Do you feel like you play the role of dad and coach with them?
You'll learn this. Your kids are young, but your kids, I think I know a lot about hockey, but I try to tell them stuff. They don't want to listen to you because you're their dad, right?
Okay.
And I think now they're trying to figure out that maybe I know what I'm talking about, then I am cool.
Yeah.
But whatever, you'll see. The kids kind of got to figure that on your own. I think gone are the days of forcing your kids, like, hey, that was a terrible game. Like, they just tune you out because they have so much going on, or they'll move on to something else. So it's really a fine line. You can give them pointers, but it's funny. Rarely do they listen to you. They listen to, like my son, we went out when Matt's was here, we went out for like a lunch dinner with him. And anyways, we're playing and he's playing center and he's snapping face-offs, like winning them and moving them back to the defense. I go, wow, holy cow, you're finally listening. He goes, Dad, it wasn't you, it was Matt Sundin.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, oh, okay.
Thanks, Matt.
I didn't even know these conversations, but it was just so stuff like that. You hope they listen to you, but I don't know. They don't, but that's fine.
What do your kids think about just the fact that you were able to dress for a game? Like,
I think they think it was cool. Like, I hope they're proud of me.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, I guess I was good enough to do that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I think they're proud of me.
That's awesome. I'm sure they are. And how about your upbringing? Like, how did your parents have an impact on you?
Oh, like, I grew up in a small town, and my mom was born and raised in that small town. So my dad moved there in 1968, still lives there now. So I think being in a small town environment, good and bad. Like, good because everybody knows you, bad because when you mess up, the whole town knows about it.
Yeah.
But it teaches you, like, hey, there's not much else to do there except athletics, so I think that's why, I played baseball and hockey, tried soccer, which I kind of sucked at, but no, I think it's good. That was my upbringing. I'm still proud of that. It's funny when you grow up in a small town, you can't wait to leave, but now I kind of want to go back.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother. He just turned 50. He's 3 years younger than me. He's back there now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And my dad's still there. My mom, God bless her, she passed away about 17 years ago. But, her family is still there. And our family name is still, it's still a good name back there, big name. So I hope to one day make it back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did it feel just having siblings? Like, do you think it's important growing up having siblings?
100%.
Yeah.
It's funny because there's a neighborhood girl. She had, she has 3 kids, but 2 boys, and they're close in age, like my brother and I, and they used to fight like cats and dogs. She's like, oh my God, I'm so worried about it. I'd be worried if they didn't fight, because my brother and I, we clobbered each other when we were young. Probably more me on him, but then he got old enough and he started like fighting back. But I think it's, it's healthy for kids to do that. Like, even my kids now, boy, girl, they're twins, and they squabble, but it's amazing to see the bond that they have. Like, they always know where each other are. They don't often hang out. They hang out with each other every now and then. They go to the same school, but it's the bond between them it's pretty cool.
What are some of the challenges being a father, would you say?
Oh, geez. Well, where do I begin? I don't know if we have enough time.
Yeah.
I was never a worrier. And I remember my mom and my dad used to say, I can't sleep till you get home. And I'd be like, yeah. Whether I be away playing hockey or just getting home in the summer late. And now that's me. I'm waiting for my kids to get home. And like, I don't understand. Like, I'm like, now, Dad, I can't wait to go to bed. But, I wasn't that, I would think everybody goes to that stage where they don't want to go to bed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So different sets, like your kids are young, there's some issues, when the kids are young, they really need their moms, and the dad kind of feels like, I'm just kind of here as a decoration to carry the kids around, but
Chop liver.
yeah, but eventually they do, it turns, and every stage in kids' life, you can see, just when you think you have it figured out, it changes.
Just like Instagram's algorithm.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So don't ever think you have it figured out, because it'll change at that minute. And that's the thing about being a parent. Like you can't let things, there's every kid has ADHD now. Every kid, there's so much information available to us as parents, and, my son has this, my son has that. Yeah. But if they diagnosed us when we were young, I bet you a lot of us would have been like far worse off. But
sure.
Now I think there's a lot more distractions for kids.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like that, when we're young, well, you're younger than me, but we had to go to the library and do school projects, but everything's available on your phone now, which is incredible. Like we actually had to read books and, and quote some of those books and stuff. But now it's just, technology is crazy. But back to my point though, like just when you have kids figured out, they change.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
Do you, is there a difference between raising a son versus a daughter?
Oh, there is. It's incredible actually. And I'm lucky. Well, my kids, they're twins, obviously, so they're both the same age. You see the difference between boys and girls early.
Okay.
I've never, had girlfriends and, a wife, but never seen like, day-to-day girl stuff. Right. Yeah. And that is, like you learn, you're thrown right in the fire. And even my brother, so having a boy and a girl is quite different. You really see the difference. And girls in general, it's really interesting. Like I worked with the Canada women's hockey, and that was really interesting because girls are really focused.
Okay.
And boys, they their minds are wandering. You show them a drill twice, they can't do it right. They're just, but the strengths are different in different things. And better in different things too. So that's a treat to see.
How old are your kids?
17.
Is it scary seeing them at that age and kind of they're going out? I don't know what time they come home and all that stuff. Yeah, it is
scary. There's so much, there's so much temptations out there. Like it's, marijuana being legal now and stuff like that. And it's worrisome. Like I said, I can never understand when my parents, I'd come home, whatever, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m, and they'd be up waiting. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, even as I got older, and now I realize like, especially in the city, like I'm not, the city, I love this city, but there's just more stuff going on, right?
Totally.
Like, the old saying, nothing good happens after midnight. I still believe in that.
So are you lenient? Like, are you lenient, Dad? Are you like lay the law?
That's a fine line. Like, my ex and I, we still co-parent, and she would definitely be the stricter one.
Okay.
But, I can lay it down. Like, you have to, like, disciplining from when we grew up to now is a lot different. Okay. And kids have been educated on that, and so have parents. But yeah, I wish discipline was a little bit more of a factor with today's kids.
Is it too late?
No, it's not. It's not too late. But I just mean in general, like in schools.
I see.
Kids are allowed to have their phones. I don't like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but then you, as a teacher, they're in a tough spot too, because they ask for the phone back. How come you're picking on me? He's got his phone. Like, it's just a different world.
Different area.
Throughout, parenting, teaching, like kids, disciplining in general is different.
Yep.
My kid, my son got, he was going to get suspended from school, and the principal phoned me and said, we're going to suspend him. I said, okay. And this is after the pandemic too, where every kid was at home, which is tough on kids too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but if I stayed in my room all day with your computer and you're expected to do all this work, I'd probably go to bed too, like, because your bed's right there, and
Sure.
So that supervision and the discipline is gone, I think. So yeah, back to that story. The principal said, we're going to keep your son home he's going to stay home for a couple of days. And I said, why? So we did this. And I said, I understand that, but keeping him at home to me it's not like the old days where it was a penalty. Yeah. Now, going to school is probably better because, all kids' rooms, they have their phone, they have a computer, they have, there's so many other things. Back in our day, you got sent to your room, you had nothing.
Yeah, it's an all-inclusive resort at this point.
Exactly. So
sign me
I
up.
said, I'd be happier if he did go to school, which he did. So,
do you feel like you have to push your kids to do whatever they're doing, or do they have ambition to do what they want to do?
Again, that's the difference between girls and boys. There's a lot, and I think I shouldn't say girls and boys, but I think in today's world, kids are given so much.
Okay.
And I'm an example, but I think parenting in general, like I'll never forget our kids. We didn't really give them phones till, later down the line. And then, my son would come, we gave them one phone to split between them. And of course, Ella, my daughter, wanted it because she keeps an eye on Henry. And, but anyway, so then they come home. Well, they have their own phone and, we're talking grade 8. So it's hard, man. Like there's so much, like you want to give your kid everything. Of course, like you're a parent, you want your kids to have everything, but it's a fine line. Like it's, and every kid, your girls are going to come home and say, hey, she just got a phone. How come I don't have one? Like, so then it's pure pressure as a parent. It's, and again, you want your kid to have everything in sports, $500 sticks we're talking about. He got one. How come I don't? So there's always that aspect. I think that's bigger now than it used to be.
How much do you think money has an impact on sports and getting into the sports as like a barrier?
I think money's got a huge impact on it because let's take hockey, for example. Back in our day, there's that saying, you find a kid, you find a diamond in the rough, like in Kenora or somewhere like that. Now, there's so much money in the sport of hockey, at the NHL level mostly. Even baseball, there's a ton of money. Parents send their kids to these schools and, there's kids are always on the ice. They're always doing skills. They're 24/7. And I think, does a kid want to do it? Probably not, but the parents sure as heck do because, if that kid makes it, he's going to buy me a house. And so I think that aspect of it is really, really taking the game a different way now. Even the GTHL, like it's, prices it's insane.
Yeah.
To enroll your kids in hockey. The price of hockey is it's expensive. It's not just the GTHL, it's hockey in general. Like it's almost become a rich man's sport now.
Yeah, like I told you, I'm going to host a hockey classic.
Yeah.
And when I found out I had to get full equipment, I'm like, oh my God, how much is this going to run me? Minimum, I'm going to say I'm going to rent them probably.
Yeah.
But padding, stick, minimum $500 easy.
And there are places like Play It Again Sports, which are great. And even my kids, like I remember their first hockey bag. I went to Walmart and there was a starter set. You got your shin pads, elbow pads, shoulder pads, pants, everything except skates and helmet, I believe. And so I just went with that. Like they're little. You don't know if they're good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they may do something, but why go out and spend, $2,000 on a little kid who might try it once? I'm not doing that.
And they're going to outgrow it in less than a year. That's crazy.
And then I didn't get my son my daughter played hockey too. I didn't get my son a brand new pair of skates. Like, I went to Play It Again because they're growing so much. Just kept going there and exchanging them and buying another pair. I didn't get him another pair till the pandemic when Play It Again Sports was shut down. We had to buy a new pair because they weren't dealing any used sporting goods because they might have the virus or whatever the heck we thought it was, right? So, so he didn't get a brand new pair probably till he was 15.
Got it.
Yeah.
At this point, they're going to have to sponsor us with all those
Yeah,
plugins. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do your kids live with you?
So I'm divorced, so every other weekend.
Okay.
And now they're older, so they kind of choose between their mom or my place. So I get them every other weekend.
Cool.
Yeah.
How is that transition for you?
You know what? It was hard at first because you miss them, right? Like I love my kids. Like, I don't know what parent doesn't, but, I still like, even if I don't see them, if they're not with me, I try and take them to school every day
Cool.
Luckily they're close to my office. So they drop in a lot and I still talk to them every day. Like, yeah.
Do you feel like your relationship with them gets better as they age?
Yeah, it's actually, it's so fun because there's a neighborhood skate, the Prince of Wales. It's an outdoor rink at the bottom of 2nd Street and Lakeshore. Phenomenal rink, right on the water. Hopefully there's not too many people. Well, a lot of people listen to this, but it's the best rink in the city.
Oh, cool.
And there's a skate there. It's called the Neighborhood Dad Skate. It's a great group of guys. Guy runs in their neighborhood, Brian Booth. He's a great guy. He's had it going for probably, well, I remember going there when the kids were young.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just shinny. But I took my son to it a couple weeks ago, and that progression, just like doing stuff like that, or my daughter will come with me somewhere, and people are like, "That's your daughter?" Like, it's just like, it's amazing. Like, you get to know kids, especially in your neighborhood. You see them all grow up, and now I see kids. I'm scared to say hi because, I'm like, is that so and so? Like, it's pretty neat, like watching the kids grow up and progress. But yeah, just stuff like doing stuff with them, like taking them to sporting events or taking them to functions. It's different now. Like they think it's fun, and yeah, it's neat.
Any tips you can give us? Like, my girl's 4, obviously yours is 17. Like, what are the things that, because I always worry between like the girls, it's just different than raising a son.
It is, but
like boyfriends and all, I don't want to deal with that. Like,
yeah, that's hard. Like I said, I never had a girl. Like, I never had a sister, but that was real learning experience to me, and it still is. But you got to really lean on your partner, and hope that they're solid. And like even my ex she's solid. Like, and choosing somebody to come into your life, like a girlfriend. Yeah. Like for me, the biggest thing is like my girl. She has daughters, and she's obviously solid, and it's you have to make sure that you bring people into your life that they are good with kids, and they have their own kids, and it's got to be an understanding too. Like, it's always, hey, if my kids call, that's the first thing. Like, that's my priority. Yeah. And it sounds funny, but the grass isn't greener on the other side. Like being divorced and stuff, it was, it must be great. I miss family life. I love it. And the biggest thing is you got to be there for your kids. Like daughters, it's hard because, you don't know anything about, maybe, do you have sisters?
I do.
Okay. Well, that helps.
Okay.
But I didn't have that. But I mean, you really have to lean on your partner, your sisters, because, there's stuff to boyfriends and, periods and stuff like that. Yeah. I know nothing about. But you just try and be there in any way you can for them, Yeah,
Do you give them pep talks? Like, do you feel like you've ever given your kids pep talks to just make sure you're on the same page?
For sure. Like every kid needs a boot in the ass, and that's terminology, right? Like, yeah. And boys and girls are different. Like, my son's a big sports guy. Actually, my daughter is too. But you got to learn the way to talk to them, because some kids can't handle being talked to. Like, my son, actually, he's a big kid. He's a big, strong kid, but he's softer than my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, he's not saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just,
of course.
It's just it's interesting. You really have to read off them what they can or can't handle.
Got it.
And not that you have to figure out, you don't have to figure out how to get under their skin, but figure out how to get to them.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I'm like curious, do I have to be diplomatic, or do I have to be like a hard ass and just be like, it is what it is?
Yeah, different personalities, like my son's brilliant. They're both smart kids, and you really have to learn the way to get to them, like not get to them, but just make them listen, like it's hard, because the smarter the kid is, they'll push you, like especially daughters, they'll push you. And to me, if they're not pushing you, all kids are smart and in different ways, but they'll push you. They figure out your limit. So then they're smart. They'll pry on that, but you got to figure out where your limit is and, learn to regulate it.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a position where, let's say, your kids got bullied? And
actually, yeah, I spoke about this yesterday. So I was really proud of my son. He's at a playground or something somewhere, and this girl, I don't know, didn't like him for some reason, and took his hat and then actually ended up hitting him. And and this is today's world again, somebody was videoing it, and the video came out.
Okay.
And he didn't look very good because he didn't get beat up, but he was like, Dad, what am I supposed to do? If I hit girl, then that's a
Sure.
bad thing too. So I was like, you did great.
Yeah.
You know, like good for him. And he's a really, again, he's a very strong kid and very smart. But in a situation like that, like we all know not to hit a woman, of
Yeah.
course, like don't lay a hand on them. I was so proud of him because he used his, and then, and that's today's world. Everybody's videotaping everything. That's what I feel bad for teachers, police, any person who is, of authority, not authority, but an authoritative figure.
Sure.
You can't,
Under scrutiny all the time and being watched.
Phone or whatever is going to make you look bad.
Yeah.
It's never anything good. And that's what upsets me about today's world. Like you could be helping somebody out and they could catch the tail end of it on video and you look like the bad guy.
Take it out of context
and
fully.
That's why people don't want to help other people now.
It's
like
very true.
It's sad.
So your son, like, where do you think he learned this stuff? Do you think just from being obviously surrounded with a good family? Like,
yeah, again, his mother and sister, growing up with a sister, you learn, the ways how to treat women and stuff like that. And, it was a proud moment for me, and of course he was upset because he didn't look like, girl took his hat and, I'd be upset too. But I'm like, you handled that beautifully. Like really, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be like, I'm sure there is like coach dads on how to control their emotions for situations like these ones. Like, I'm sure there's some that can be a really bad situation where you just want to go and just tell off the other kid. I'm just talking shit right now, but you know what I mean?
You know what? I'm a believer in that too, that I was talking about it with a good friend of mine yesterday, him and his wife. Schoolyard politics to me are big.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, you want to be there for your kid or your daughter or your son. You can't be everywhere. You don't want to be that helicopter parent also too.
Exactly.
But, and I realize people worry, like I worry about my kids and I'll drive them anywhere,
Yeah.
and you will too. But there's that fine line where you got to let them go. Right. And hope that everything you've taught them or told them, that they handle things properly. They're not going to it sometimes, but they're going to be tested, and it's, unfortunately, a lot of it, or fortunately, a lot of it's on video, which is kind of sucks.
Your daughter, you said she's in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
When did she start?
She started really young. Like she started probably my son was in it too. And he stopped because he had, hockey and stuff became that's the only reason he stopped. Like, I think with, boys are physically, almost naturally aggressive, right? Boys scrapping with their brother, with people. Girls, they don't, not all, they're not naturally, they don't grow up with that, right? So I think it's good for them, especially in the city, to learn how to defend themselves.
Yeah.
To learn how to keep, weird people away. If somebody you never hope that happens.
Yeah.
But I think you want to give them the tools to, to make it, it's again, not tough girls, but at least able to teach them how to, get away from bad people.
I'm sure it builds confidence.
100%,
right?
100%. It does. And I think it's just a good thing for you to learn, in general as a person.
It's so much things you got to as a father, you have to look out for and make sure you introduce them to. That's what I mean. It's it's hard being a dad.
It is.
Understanding what to prioritize.
Yeah.
I'm like, should I put her in boxing? I know I should put her in jiu-jitsu. I just want her to be able to learn how to, not saying she has to throw a punch, but just be prepared to stand up for herself. And I'm not saying physically, but I'm sure helps them feel confident.
Yeah. And I remember there was an example our neighbor gave us. A great couple, they lived across the road from us, a school teacher, and her daughter took jiu-jitsu at this same place. It's a neighborhood place. And she was at a birthday in a city park and went to use a washroom, came out and some not good person, grabbed her by the arm and tried to take her away. I don't know.
Crazy.
And she was able to defend herself and got away.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, put our kids in that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that age is such a great age and they have such an impact on younger girls.
Yeah.
I take my daughter skating at, I won't say where I take her, but we take her skating and it's run by some girls and they're so young. And I'm like, oh my God, they're so mature, and it's like they're 20 years old, but they're like these 12-year-old girls taking care of my 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's really nice.
I think in general too, like with all that, you know, I don't ever remember girls being that mature, you know, like when I grew up,
Yeah.
you know, but now there's so much stuff available, like, oh, makeup, like, oh my God, like my daughter comes stay with me, and, you know, one of the bathrooms is full of like, it's like a Revlon makeup center. It's I'm like, whoa. Yeah. But there's so many things available now, like to make them, I never want my kids to grow up, and I see them growing up, and that sounds weird. I shouldn't say that. I do want them to grow up, but it happens so quickly. I remember leaving the hospital with, you know, not just one, but 2 little baby buckets. And the lady said to me, enjoy it, goes by quickly. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But here we are.
Oh
like,
my goodness.
How many, 17 years later. And I'm just like, holy smokes. It really does go by. And as hard as it is to enjoy every minute, you have to, and you just hope and pray that, you know, nothing ever bad happens to them. Like, you know, and hope, you know, they're going to get into situations, but you just hope you give them the tools, or they have the tools enough to get themselves out of that. And, you know, I always tell them to stick together in groups, you know.
It's nice that they have each other at least.
It is. And there's some of their friends, like they go to the same school, and some of their friends are the same friends. Some of the friends, they still hang out with a lot of kids they grew up with, and, you know, from sports and stuff like that. So that cool. Makes me happy.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's like different phases, because I don't know how it's going to feel like once, I don't know if they're going to go to university or whatever they want to do, but they go and they want to live on campus or whatever. It's just a new phase of fatherhood.
It is. Yeah, it is. And like we said, there's different stages, different, not troubles, but different things you have to deal with. You know, when they're 4, you got to deal with certain things. When they, you know, 7 to 10, you're dealing with the different issues. And then teenagers, like, yeah, you'll see.
Yeah. It's wild, man.
It's fun. But
it's like, I feel like it's, like you said, it goes by fast. And for me, 4 years went by pretty fast, but it's just, you think you're going to be young forever.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, I don't feel old, but, you know, you see the kids, you see how big they are. Like, you know, I remember Max Domi, for example, like there's a picture closing of Maple Leaf Gardens, and he's sitting on my knee.
Crazy.
Now he's playing in the NHL, and he's a big, strong boy. And like, you know, you don't feel that old. And there's many other kids. Josh Manson, he was another kid that was always around the room, and he's a great hockey player now and a tough customer. It's just like, holy smokes. Like, you remember those little kids, and, you know, that especially in hockey, like Cujo's kids always, all the guys used to bring their kids around. It was great. And now these kids are growing, and, you know,
the legacy continues,
it's neat
right?
to see. Yeah, it's crazy.
Shout out to Max Domi.
Yeah. He's
awesome.
He's a special kid.
Yeah.
And I think he thrives. I like to take a bit of credit for it, but because he was around guys like Matt's, his dad, like, you know, Ty, probably one of the toughest, I think the toughest guy ever to play the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's certain lessons you learn from being around that, you know, no other kid will learn those unless he's been there, which I think in today's athlete, because Max thrives because he's seen it all. Like, you know, as a young kid, that's in his head. But there's no more teaching those guys because there's not many of them around. Does that make sense?
Sure, that does.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I look at you, you kind of remind me of Matt Sundin.
Oh, yeah?
You look pretty similar, like the eyes, like... and
actually, at the Hall of Fame, when he got inducted, his brothers are a good friend of him, like the whole family. His whole family's great. His mom and dad call me the 4th brother.
There you go.
Matt's, Per, and Patrick, and then I'm the 4th.
Makes
sense. And they're all bald,
to me.
too, so, yeah.
Graham, we have a few minutes, right? All right. So usually how I end the podcast is I ask 2 questions. The first one is, if you could have any music artists, dead or alive, perform at your wedding, who do you think it would be?
Oh, my gosh. My second wedding.
Your second wedding, yeah.
Jeez. That's a good one. I'm a big fan of music.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of like 70s and 80s music. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with probably Bob Seger.
Okay.
Or the Eagles.
Oh, cool.
The Eagles, like,
all right.
Yeah, they're 2 of my favorite artists right there.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Second one, if you can invite anybody on this podcast, who would it be from your circle?
From my circle? Oh, like a dream team would be like for you to have Mats, Ty, and Cujo on here.
Oh God, that would be
Maybe
wicked.
throw Gary Roberts in the mix, like those that knock it down a bit. Like
They're all okay. Jomi's a dad.
oh yeah,
Cujo's dad. They're all dads.
oh yeah. Matt's started a little later. Like he was smart. He got married when he was I think 40 or maybe a bit in around that range. So he's got young kids.
Cool.
And I remember him, like we go out, for beer or whatever, and I was always tired, like, and he's like, how come you're tired? Now he's
Out of those four, who do you think is the most realistic one that would actually come?
realistic.
If any, I'm just playing around.
You know what? Like Ty's insanely busy, and he's got Max, and Mats is across the pond in Sweden. So probably Curtis, because he lives in Arizona, and in Virginia Beach in the summer.
Yeah.
But he's around. He's still Leaf ambassador.
Okay.
So probably that guy. Yeah.
I'd say even maybe Gilmore would be the easiest one.
Another
season,
another good for it. Like another guy. He's a great dad. Like
yeah.
Even all the guys, like they're all dads now, and it's.
I think that's how we connected.
Wendell?
Was through Gilmore.
Was it?
Because I think Gilmore posted a story of him wearing a Daddy Day Club T-shirt.
Okay.
And I think that's how we connected. You followed me, and then I followed you back, and the rest is history. But
okay. Yeah, Doug, the best. Like,
yeah.
Oh, another guy that I didn't mention enough. Like he's a guy that, like, I remember when I was at Maple Leaf Gardens. I think first or second year with the team, and New Year's Eve team party, and I didn't go because who the hell am I? Next day, him and Dave Ella came to me, and there's an old stick room. They go, "Where were you last night?" I'm like, "Oh, I went out with my buddies." And so when there's a team party, you're supposed to be there.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, "Really? Like me?" He's like, "Yeah, we missed you." I was like, "Holy smokes!" Like, yeah, like that stuff like that. Lost art now. Like guys like that.
How does it make you feel?
Oh man, I still get emotional when I talk about it.
Yeah.
That just that statement alone right there changed my life.
Makes you feel like totally part of the team.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's like I'll never forget that.
I'll
never forget Doug. Like he's still. I talk to him a lot. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Shout out Dougie. Shout out Sonia, his wife.
Yeah. Oh, they're great people.
Family.
Great people.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like there wasn't too many bad guys. In fact, hardly any.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Scott, I appreciate you even coming here,
thanks
throwing
for
your
having
resources. Got to give shout out to Graham from the Ford Performance
Graham
Center.
Hawking. Good
He
man.
hooked us up.
Yeah.
We're pretty much scheduled for April 26th, Saturday.
In your neighborhood too.
Yeah, in my neighborhood, and like he truly hooked us up.
Yeah,
and,
he's a good guy.
So I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no trouble.
And I look forward to collaborating with you in the future, and we do something big, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.